Hello everyone, this is Void Spirit. I'm here to bring you guys amazing fanfiction that you will surely enjoy. But before we start, please subscribe and like the video for more amazing content. CH36. White Village 2 hours after the farewell in the capital. The group left the capital and decided their new destination. It would be the Great Dungeon at the Gurian volcano. Currently they were in the 6-wheeled vehicle that looked like a combat van. They felt that the other vehicle would be too cramped, and so they were in this car. The vehicle was nowhere near the desert yet and was passing a road near some grass fields. In the front seat was Rimuru driving while Chloe was clinging to him. Sakura was beside Chloe tasting some of the sushi that Chloe made. She really enjoyed trying new foods. Rimuru could feel a great feeling in his arm, and every now and then he stroked Chloe's head, who was smiling happily. In the middle seat was Hajime, who was hugged by Kaori while Yu was on his lap. The two were arguing about who would sit on Hajime's lap, but Yu would not budge. Meanwhile in the back seat was Shia playing with Myu and Tio, who was panting from being slapped. Yu-san. Let me stay on your lap if Hajime-kun. You've been with him the longest. NN. I won't give up Hajime's lap even for a second. That's very unfair. I am also loved by Hajime-kun. Kaori and Yu really looked like two children fighting. Meanwhile Hajime, who said, "My opinion doesn't matter," was completely ignored. Hajime couldn't stand the argument any longer and slapped them on the forehead. Will you two stop it? If you're going to fight, at least don't hang on to me while you're at it. The girls were about to reply, but before they could, Myu spoke up. Myu doesn't like it when Oni-chans fight. She spoke frowning, and the two excused themselves. Being scolded by a child made them stop fighting, and in the end neither of them stayed on Hajime's lap. At this moment, Rimuru-kun, there's someone over there. Cho pointed to a field of grass and everyone looked over. There was a collapsed young man there bleeding heavily. Rimuru stopped the car and looked at the others as if to say, should we help? Kaori was the first to speak. Hajime-kun, let me help you. I am a healer after all. Papa, let's help. Kaori was with a determined expression. Mayu and the others seemed to want to help as well. Hajime didn't care about this world or the people in it. That's why Kaori asked him to help. She wouldn't do that if Hajime didn't approve, not least because she was the one who asked to come along. Seeing them like this, Hajime replied, I guess it's okay. I'm curious too, if it's okay with my brother. Hajime was also curious of why having someone injured without a cart here. Hajime moved his gaze to Rimuru as if to ask if everything was okay, and Rimuru replied, oh, I don't mind. Then it's okay. Thank you. Kaori thanked him and gave Hajime a kiss on the cheek. Yu was wearing a grumpy expression and said, opportunist, but everyone ignored her. They got out of the car and walked toward the young man who was passed out. He was lying passed out and had several injuries. The young man had black clothes, white hair and skin, and a katana around his waist. He appeared to be just over 20 years old and had a beard the same color as his hair. Rimuru didn't use his wells and let Kaori heal him, because he didn't have that many wells left, and since this world didn't have any hypokute herb, which was the raw material for these wells, he didn't want to spend too many. While Kaori was healing him, the others were searching the surroundings for something that might have injured him. They also searched the young man's wagon. Here. I found it. Rimuru shouted and waved. Rimuru was near some rocks and was pointing behind them. When they got close. Demons? Hajime muttered in surprise, and the others seemed curious as well. There were 7 demon bodies. They weren't supposed to be here because it was human territory. Besides, they were all dead. Rimuru looked around some more, and Tio then spoke. Did that young man fight all of them? If so, he must be stronger than an ordinary human. Killing demons that are normally stronger than humans, and still 7. We have to talk to him. Huh. Hajime agreed with Tio's words, and at that moment Rimuru gave a surprised groan. Everyone was confused as to why, and Rimuru explained. They're not as powerful as that Milo guy, but those 7 are Demon Lord. What? Everyone was surprised by Rimuru's words. Rimuru then showed the brooches they carried. These brooches were given to Demon Lords, and Milo, who Rimuru killed, also carried one. When Rimuru looked through Milo's memories, he didn't see anything very important. He only found out that Milo was an envoy of the gods and that his superior was EHT. However, now he asked Seal to specifically analyze the faces of the demon lords in Milo's memories and confirmed. These guys really are demon lords. If that young man killed all of them, he must be pretty powerful. We'd better talk to him. Yes. Kaori must have finished the healing. Hajime agreed with Rimuru and they went back to where Kaori was. They arrived and Kaori seemed to have difficulty healing the young man. Her healing magic was glowing brightly and she was focused. Kaori. What's going on? I don't know. I healed all the other wounds, but this one won't stop bleeding. No matter how much I heal it, it's still bleeding. Kaori was exhausted from using magic power and the others were also confused about how there could be an incurable wound. Rimuru approached. Let me see. Yes. Kaori stepped back and Seal analyzed the wound. Just as Rimuru thought, it was a dimensional wound. This wound would not heal as it was the same as trying to heal a wound and the dew was still inside. Rimuru used Void God Azathoth Consummation and sucked out the dimensional wound. Okay, heal him now. Yes. Kaori healed the wound and the white-haired young man slowly opened his eyes. Who are you? Well, we are the people who saved your life. Now we want information. The young man looked at Rimuru who spoke and then looked perplexed at his belly where the dimensional wound used to be. How? From the looks of it the young man knew that the wound was difficult to heal and was confused. How do we heal you? Well, that's complicated to explain. Let's just say that few people could have saved you and I am one of them. Rimuru spoke up and asked for information. He wanted to know if it was this young man who killed the 7 demon lords. These 7 were not as strong as Milo, but by the standards of this world they were. The young man looked at the people and asked. Why? Why did you save me? What do you mean? Rimuru was confused by his words, so the young man pointed at himself as if to say, look at me. At this moment you intervened. Could you be a reaper? Ah. That's why he looked familiar. I see. You had great knowledge of the legends of this world and had heard of reapers, including their description. White hair and skin, carry black swords and feed on souls. They were a terror to humans, so no one would help one of them. That's why the young man was so confused. Chloe and Kaori also seemed to find him familiar. This was because of their battle against the reaper who looked just like the young man. Rimuru also thought this young man looked like someone else but they hadn't recognized where from until you spoke. Yes, I am a reaper. No one said anything. Not out of surprise or fear. They were just waiting for the young man to continue speaking, but for some reason he had his eyes closed and was looking up as if to say, you can cut my throat. After a while he opened his eyes in confusion. I guess now is the time you guys attack me. The young man spoke, but no one stood guard. He didn't look threatening so no one attacked him. However he seemed confused by this, so Rimuru spoke. You say you are a reaper, but you don't look like the reapers we were told about. Why aren't you going crazy out there sucking souls then? You guys aren't really going to attack me? The young man looked dumbfounded. In this world anyone from another race would be attacked immediately. So he thought he would die now, since he was recognized and was out of strength. Hajime, seeing him confused, spoke. Look man. Our group has a demi-human, a kinky dragon woman and a butterfly woman. So we certainly won't attack you just because of your race. Now, tell us. Who are you? How did you kill all those powerful demons, and why were you here? The young man looked around and noticed how different the group was. He seemed amazed that he could talk to humans without being attacked. This was probably new to him. Okay. I guess I can trust you then. After all you are the ones who saved me. Thank you for saving me. My name is Raphael and I'm from the White Village. I have a lot to tell you, but this is not a good place to talk. I think we'd better go to my home first. Is that all right with you? Everyone looked at each other to see if anyone had an objection. Fine with me. HMHM. Yes. They had no reason to object. Even if Raphael was planning something evil, the group had the walking cheat that was Rimuru, so they didn't mind accompanying him. The group agreed and they helped Raphael to his feet. They were all confused by the White Village part, but they figured that following him was the fastest way to get answers to their questions. How far is it? Sakura asked. I'd say it's about 4 kilometers. Let's go by car then. Car? What's, Raphael was dumbfounded by the metal box that appeared out of nowhere. The others encouraged him and he got in. He was first surprised by the unfamiliar method of transportation, but then he showed the way. It's in that direction, eh? Are you sure? Hajime, who was at the wheel, was confused by the direction pointed. That's because where Raphael pointed had only some gigantic plains and no village could be seen. Yes. I know why you're confused, but you'll understand soon enough. Alright then. Everyone was confused by the village that was supposed to be invisible. Rimuru seemed to be the only one who understood what Raphael was saying and was encouraging Hajime to continue on his way. Hajime sped up and after some time driving, Raphael said, "Stop here, please." Okay. They stopped and everyone got off the car. Raphael took a few steps forward and drew his sword. He raised the sword high and spoke. "Our past is forgotten. Our souls imprisoned. We do not flee from battle, but we do not seek war. We protect above all and want only to live in peace. We do not reap for pleasure and we avoid above all. Death is our barrier and for this we thank it. The sword is the key and we guard it with our lives. Open up, gate of souls." As Raphael spoke, his sword glowed white. It kept getting stronger and when he finished speaking, the sword stopped glowing. The space in front of them distorted and began to open like a door. On the other side appeared a large village with many white houses with black details. It actually looked more like a small town than a village. It was all very well done and well detailed. The streets of the town looked new and they were all interconnected. In the middle of the city was a large orb of light. This orb was far away, but its brightness was visible nevertheless. The city had a few crops and some animals, dogs and cats as well as cattle, pigs and chickens. The city also had a beautiful lake with crystal clear water and a black house that was much bigger than the others. This house could be considered another base. Everyone in the group, except Rimuru, was wide-eyed. That's because even Hajime, who had his magic eye, couldn't detect anything, and yet there was a beautiful city. Raphael then spoke. "Welcome to the White Village." Everyone was impressed by the beautiful town. "It is beautiful. Beautiful. Truly." Chloe and Shia murmured and Yu agreed with them. Raphael looked happy to have his city praised and was puffing out his chest. "Please come in. The barrier won't stay open for long. Papa, this city is really cool. Let's go inside." Yu seemed excited about the city. Her enthusiasm infected the others and they went inside excited to discover a new mystery. When they entered, what? That. My strength. The group felt as if they had grown weaker. They were confused and then looked at Raphael suspiciously. This was a normal reaction. Since the city in which he brought them took much of their strength and they thought Raphael was planning something. Raphael noticed their stares and tried to explain himself. "Wait. Don't misunderstand. This barrier affects anyone who is not a Reaper. I am not planning anything. Please believe me." He looked guilty for not having warned earlier. Some members of the group were still suspicious, so Rimuru intervened. "Guys, don't worry. This barrier doesn't affect me or Chloe. Even if it were some evil scheme, nothing would happen to us." They were more relieved to hear that and kept walking. Raphael seemed really curious about the barrier not affecting Rimuru and Chloe, but he didn't seem disappointed. If he was disappointed or angry, then they were suspicious of him. For it would be something like, "It'll be harder to kill them this way," but since that wasn't the case they just kept going towards the city. When they were close to the city, Raphael, "First you condemn our village and now you bring humans here. I guess I have no reason to leave you alive." A raspy male voice spoke angry words to them. Everyone looked toward the voice and there stood a gigantic man. He was wearing heavy black armor with red details. His sword was big enough to cut 6 watermelons at once and was black as well. His head was covered by a helmet, but the most important thing was the pressure coming out of this man. It was frightening. Eek, Papa. Shia, who took a fright, rushed to grab Doryukin and Myu hid behind Hajime scared. The others put themselves on guard as well, for by the man's words he was going to attack, but the man moved too fast for the weakened group to keep up. Tchin, the hooded man, tried to attack Raphael with his huge sword, but was stopped by Rimuru's barrier that stood in front of him. Sparks came out of the sword and the man turned away in surprise. Rimuru didn't even stand in combat stance and spoke. "Look, we saved this guy. So we're not going to let you kill him so easily." Both Raphael and the hooded man looked surprised at Rimuru defending the attack. Raphael recovered from his surprise and spoke. "Miguel, stop. They are not our enemies, they saved me." Apparently the man in armor was named Miguel. Miguel looked angry and said, "You really are an idiot. You don't deserve to be one of us, and you're still naive enough to think that humans won't be hostile to us. I think you'd better die before she stops me." Miguel raised his sword and set out to attack. Rimuru put himself on guard, and when he was getting close, "Collect soul. Watch out." Before Miguel arrived, he abruptly stopped and his sword began to glow. Raphael tried to warn Rimuru, but it was too late. The sword seemed to suck something out of Rimuru, exactly as said. It was trying to suck out his soul. Raphael thought it was the end of Rimuru, but Rimuru just walked over to Miguel. "What? How? Impossible." Raphael and Miguel were shocked. Rimuru was supposed to be dead already, but there he was, walking slowly. Apparently Miguel couldn't move when sucking a soul, as he was still standing there holding his sword and trying to suck Rimuru's soul. "Well, I have nothing against you, but you tried to kill me, so that's the least of it." Rimuru punched Miguel and he was thrown far away. Miguel let out a groan of pain and sprawled on the ground. Raphael looked perplexed and the group was casting looks that seemed to say, as expected. However, Miguel was to be more resilient than he looked and stood up to continue fighting. "Miguel, enough." A female voice came from behind Miguel and everyone looked in his direction. There stood a beautiful white woman with hair of the same color. Her black clothes were the same kind of clothes a queen would wear, and her eyes were red. Her expression was calm and serene, but her gaze could kill anyone. She was not releasing any pressure, but she seemed to be powerful. When Michael saw the woman, he lowered his sword and said, "Lucifer. I'm sorry. Don't talk anymore. Call the other three to the main house. I will go after I finish here." "Yes." Miguel turned and left without even complaining. Hajime, Kaori, Chloe and Rimuru had found the names of the Reapers very familiar, but they thought it must just be a coincidence. The woman who seemed to be called Lucifer approached Raphael. Rimuru did not stop her as Seal detected no killing intent in her, so it was fine. "Raphael. I'm sorry. I know I shouldn't have." "Then it's all right. You were forgiven, but..." She moved even closer and their gazes were locked. Lucifer put his hands on the neck if Raphael, and Rimuru was thinking she was going to break his neck, but... The two kissed. No one expected that's what would happen. Everyone thought it would be the end of Raphael, then everyone let out confused voices. Lucifer parted his lips from Raphael and said, "The next time you do something like this I will kill you 100 times. Ah. Well, what can I say? I promise not to do that again." Raphael replied, half startled, as Lucifer's eyes were serious. Lucifer let go of him and turned his gaze to the group. That piercing gaze made some of the group shiver and Myu even hid behind Hajime again. "Will you explain it to me?" she asked Raphael, pointing at the group. Lucifer also kept casting glances at Rimuru. She probably saw Rimuru's punch and was being careful. Raphael then explained that they saved him and wanted to know more about him and the Reapers. "I see. They really are a distinguished group." Lucifer looked thoughtful. She then said, "Raphael, explain about us to them. You can even take a tour if you want. I will let everyone know. Get a place for them to sleep and eat too. Tomorrow morning take everyone to the main house." "Okay, see you later." "See you." They said their goodbyes and Raphael led them into town. Ch 37. The Story of the Reapers. Raphael showed the group a bit of the city and everyone seemed like curious tourists. In the city, most people were kind to them, but some were wary. All the people had white hair and skin. A few had half-pointed ears or black horns. They all wore black clothes and for some reason they all carried weapons. Some introduced themselves and all had biblical or angelic names. Rimuru and Hajime were very curious about this, but they didn't comment on it. They were taken to a large house and all sat down at a large table. "Is this an inn? If your town is secret, why do you have one?" Hajime asked, confused. The others seemed curious about this too. If the city was hidden it wouldn't welcome travelers. So an inn was strange. Raphael replied. "No, this is not an inn or hotel. This is where the newly emerged stay until they get a home, or at least they used to." "Emerged?" Sakura asked the meaning of the unfamiliar word. Raphael then said, "Well, I'll explain everything. It's a rather long story, but I think we have time. First, do you want something to eat?" No thanks. No one wanted to eat, so Raphael would start telling the story. "Since that's how I can start. Tell about the town and the Reapers first."
You encouraged him and he began. Good. Then I'll start by telling you about us. Currently there are just over 500 Reapers in this city. We Reapers can't leave this city. If we leave we need to suck souls to survive, and we stay here because we don't want to go around committing massacres.
He spoke to make it clear that the people of the town were not crazed killers as the stories told. Everyone in the group seemed to believe it. This was because they had talked to the citizens and none of them seemed like psychopaths. Then you asked. And why do you have several legends about you killing various people and sucking souls?
Oh, yes. Some centuries ago a group of rebels wanted to live in the outside world and killed several people trying, but they were stopped by those who call themselves gods. So if you guys don't suggest souls while out there, what happens?
Rimuru asked to confirm his guess. If we do that, we will gain monstrous forms and over time we will weaken, until one time we will die and become soul orbs. These orbs can be used to revive us and are quite resilient. However, the resurrection ritual is not known to us, and the humans have also erased all records of this so that no one can revive us. The only way to destroy these orbs is with high temperatures, but the humans think they are indestructible. The group was processing the various new information, and at this point Rimuru asked. Why is it different in this city? You mean, why don't we need to suck souls when we are here? I guess it's okay to tell you. Did you see that light in the middle of the city? We call it the light of life. It produces the barrier that protects us, and that same barrier also releases an energy similar to souls. So if we stay here it's no problem. Ooh. That barrier looks impressive. Hajime said, impressed. The mad scientist inside Hajime kept repeating, let's analyze that barrier, in his mind. Tio, who was more serious than usual, then asked.
You said that was one of the reasons. The other could have something to do with the gods.
Exactly. They hate us and can't stand that there is anything in this world that is not under their command. They don't attack us because they don't know we are alive. They think that the rebels who were killed were the last of our race. At least until a few days ago. Raphael had a guilty look on his face when he said this. The group was casting questioning glances, so he said, calm down, we'll get to that, and continued. Even knowing where we are, they wouldn't overpower us so easily as we have the barrier that weakens anyone who isn't a Reaper. Even the gods would be in danger if they faced us here. However, we also weaken outside, so we don't attack them. So the gods hunt you too. Tio had a pained look on her face. She could understand what it was like to hide from tyrannical gods. That's because her clan does it to this day, and she is the only one who has come out of hiding in the last 500 years. The rest of the group understood how she felt, and they were also with depressed expressions. Rimuru broke the silence and asked. Raphael-san. Why did you kill those demon lords? And who did that wound on you? That. Raphael looked down with a wistful look and then continued. I think I'd better explain a few things first. The leadership of our city. Our city has 7 people who are far superior than the others in terms of power compared to the others. The others call us the 7 mortals. The 7 make the important decisions, and Lucifer that you met before is the leader of the city and leader of the 7 mortals. I am also one of them, and so is Michael, who attacked us. What does that have to do with my brother's question? Hajime spoke impatiently, and Raphael continued, one of the 7 members is one of my friends, Saril. Not only is she powerful in battle, but she is also the only healer in town, and so she is someone very important. However, she had one person in town who didn't get along with her, and didn't even approve of her as one of the Abaddon 7. Saril and Abaddon have quarreled a lot in the last few centuries and... Wait. Yes? Sakura interrupted, and Raphael was confused. Sakura then asked. That means you Reapers have a high life expectancy, right? The rest of the group was surprised by Sakura's remark. It seems she was the only one who noticed that they fought for centuries apart. Raphael agreed and informed them that the Reapers did not poison. He then continued the story. Abaddon wanted to be one of the 7 and was very jealous of Saril. She hated Saril and challenged her to a public fight. She also set conditions that she would leave the 7 if she lost. And? Saril won? Rimuru was already engaged in the story and was rushing Raphael to find out more details. The others were also quite interested, and meanwhile Myu was eating cookies. The noise of the cookies being chewed spoiled the story of a mysterious city mood a bit, but no one said anything about it. Raphael then said. Yes. Saril easily defeated her in front of everyone, and that only made them develop more hatred for her. So, she poisoned her. How did she get poison? Rimuru raised a question and everyone seemed to want to know the same thing. There was no why Reapers produced poison and they couldn't go out in the outside world. Ah, yes. We can stay out of town for a while without sucking souls for a while. We sometimes go out to get materials for the houses or other necessary things. Abaddon had the ability to disguise herself and she probably used that to buy poison with humans on one of these runs. I have a question. Is it okay for you to tell us all this? Aren't Reapers supposed to hate humans and not trust them or something? Kaori's question made sense. The Reapers were attacked immediately by humans and had no room for dialogue. Yet they lived in isolation because they didn't like killing humans. Normally you wouldn't tell all this to a group of humans who hate you. Raphael gave a wry smile and said, if you were a normal group of humans I would not tell you so much of our business. However, as you said, your group is quite varied and not the type to judge someone by their race. None of us hate humans because we know that they are just being manipulated by the gods. However, the main reason is that our leader Lucifer agreed. Everyone understood that the Reapers really weren't evil, and they also understood that their leader seemed to be well respected. That was the likely reason for people to talk down to them without reservation even though they were human. It was like, if Lucifer-sama approves, it's okay. Raphael continued.
Abaddon tried to kill Saril, but Saril survived and even though she was in terrible condition she managed to tell Lucy about the events. However, she fainted soon after telling him. That poison was super powerful and probably the only person who could cure them was Saril herself. Our healer. Raphael-san, could I try to cure her? Kaori asked worriedly. Raphael gave a wry smile and said.
Yes. I would appreciate it very much if you would do that, but at the moment she is locked in a time cocoon that we had quite a hard time making one. How about we go there after I finish the story?
Yes. Raphael seemed happy with his friend having a chance of survival and continued.
After Abaddon was discovered, we went to capture her and arrested her and her accomplice.
Accomplice. Actually, it wasn't really an accomplice. He was brainwashed and now he probably doesn't remember anything. His name was Milo. Milo. Like Milo. Rimuru spoke abruptly. The others in the group remembered the demon lord who attacked Hero's group. He also had white skin and hair and wore black clothes.
Yes. Do you know him? Raphael looked confused and asked.
We know him, but as you said he doesn't even remember this place. He's dead. I see. Rimuru knew that Milo did not remember the place of origin because he himself abalicized Milo's memories. He also realized that if he had not used black flames to deliver the final blow, Milo would have left his soul orb. Raphael got a complicated expression upon hearing of Milo's death. Rimuru and the others also got a spoiler of the story.
So they ran away, right? Hajime spoke, breaking the silence. Raphael agreed with his head and spoke.
Abaddon had been killed in her capture, but we had not yet burned her orb. On the day we were going to burn his orb, that man appeared. That man, yes, a mysterious man, he had blue hair and blue eyes. We don't know how he got in or out, but he was quite powerful. One of the 7, Gabriel, tried to attack him, but did no damage. The man took Milo and the orb of Abaddon without even telling us his purpose.
Wait. Abaddon happened to be a woman who wore a black katana.
Yes, that's right. Don't tell me, you guys. Chloe asked and Raphael was shocked. Chloe then told the story of the Reaper's attack on the Haihiri kingdom. Raphael was surprised that he had someone who could revive Abaddon and then he was pleased to hear that she was killed.
I see. It seems that the two of them have caused you several problems. I'm sorry about that.
No, it's all right. Now, what does this have to do with those dead demon lords? Rimuru asked curiously. Hajime also seemed impatient about this and rushed Raphael. Raphael looked a little guilty upon hearing this. He continued.
After the escape, we decided that the only ones powerful enough to do this were the gods. However, we had no way to pursue them because we didn't want to go around collecting souls. The 7 decreed that nothing would be done, but I couldn't let it go.
My friend was hurt and I was angry. So I wanted to go after the gods and demand the prisoners back, but I also didn't want to kill people to collect souls, so I had an idea. The light of life that releases an energy that nourishes us instead of souls, so I decided to take a piece. That doesn't sound very safe. Shia commented and Raphael nodded in agreement.
It was actually super dangerous for the barrier, so I didn't tell anyone. I ingested a piece of the light of life and realized I could leave the city for a while. So I went to the only god we know the location of. He is nowadays called the Demon King. He. Oi, oi, oi. Wait a minute. You just revealed something important there. Don't keep talking like it's no big deal. Yes. Raphael-kun has to learn common sense. Not that I'm the best person to talk about it. Yes. Rimuru-san really doesn't have common sense. Hajime, Rimuru and Chloe spoke in that sequence. Before you knew it, the topic turned about Rimuru not having common sense. Rimuru realized that they were running away from the subject and asked, "How do you guys know he is one of the gods?" About that. He killed several of the rebels who attacked the Demon Kingdom back in the old days, and one of the rebels who repented of his actions returned to the city and told us. But let's go back in history. I went to the Demon King to demand Abaddon and Millel back. The problem was that he didn't even know about the Reaper's village or that we were alive. When I realized that the gods did not know about the existence of the village, I tried to kill the Demon King right there so that the information would not leak out. Only the Demon King was really strong and I lost. Even though I ingested a piece of the light of life, I wasn't at my full power and couldn't win. Yet you were still here in front of us. Did you run away? Rimuru guessed and Raphael agreed, half embarrassed. Yes. I managed to temporarily pin him down, but as I was running away, he launched an attack at me that in his words was incurable and really the wound wouldn't stop bleeding. I managed to resist, but when I was escaping he sent some demon lords after me. I killed a few on the way, and when I was near the city they caught up with me. Was it those 7 demon lords? Tio asked to confirm and Raphael agreed. If I was in my normal state it would be easy to kill them, but I was injured, I had been out of town for a long time and the light effects were wearing off. So I had to give it my all to kill those demons. I would probably die if it wasn't for you. He finished story. I understand. I think we understand everything that happened currently. Just one thing, shouldn't the gods be looking for you Reapers now that they know you are still alive? Yes. That's why I feel guilty, but since we have the barrier, we are safe. If that Demon King were to enter the barrier, I could easily defeat him. By the way, I also have a question for you.
Rimuru was worried about an attack from the gods since the Demon King must have told the others about the survival of the Reapers. Another fact was that the demon lords died very close to the city, so there is a chance that the city will be discovered. Raphael reassured Rimuru and asked,
"How do you know the truth about the gods?" Everyone was confused by the question. They had not told Raphael anything about their journey or the liberators. So how did he know they knew about the gods? The first to speak was Hajime. I see. You assumed that on the basis that we were not surprised by your story. You're a smart guy,
When Hajime spoke, everyone understood. Raphael seemed reluctant to talk about the gods, and whenever he spoke he would pause as if to say, "Do you have something to talk about?" This was because if any human or demon heard this he would probably curse Raphael for speaking ill of the gods. It would be, "How dare you defame EHT Sama?" So Raphael assumed that they somehow knew the truth about the gods.
Rimuru gave a brief explanation about the dungeons and the liberators. He also asked if Raphael knew anything about it. The reason he asked was because they didn't have the locations of 3 of the dungeons yet.
They did not know the locations of these because Mildy said that she could not reveal them and that finding them was part of the challenge. However, Raphael didn't seem to know anything. At this moment Kaori spoke up.
Raphael-san, we have some things we want to know yet, but how about I heal your friend Saril first? Kaori said in a concerned tone. I appreciate that very much. Let's go then, Miss Kaori. Everyone had some questions still, like, what were the arisings, but Rimuru decided to leave it for later. They left the inn. They went to a tent that was on a grass field. This field was close to the town lake and was where they put the patients. The Reapers had no hospital or anything like that. This was because they all had high resistance to diseases and it was not easy for them to get hurt. They didn't poison and they also had Saril, who was a great healer, so there was no need for a hospital. Here she is. They entered the tent and there was a woman lying on a bed. She looked to be just over 20 years old and was really beautiful. Her ears were slightly pointed. She had long white hair, black clothes and white skin. A blue energy was surrounding her. This energy was probably the time-stopping spell. Very well. I will remove the spell. Miss Kaori, get ready. Yes. Kaori prepared her staff and approached Saril. Raphael spoke a few words and undid the spell. Gwa. Saril woke up vomiting blood. Kaori asked everyone to leave and began the healing. While they were waiting outside the tent, Rimuru questioned Raphael about something. Raphael-san. Why do you all wear black? Everyone cast curious glances at Raphael, wanting to know the same thing as Rimuru. They didn't understand how the people in town all had the same taste in fashion. Raphael was confused by the question and Rimuru continued. Do you guys have any rules or anything? Ah. You mean about our clothes? That's because we all have the monomaterialization skill, so it's easier to use it than to make clothes. Raphael demonstrated by making a black glove. The others had expressions of, ah. Now I get it. Rimuru took advantage of the fact that he still had time and asked about the weapons and armor and why everyone always carries swords. The weapons and armor are made by our blacksmith Metatron. He also makes our swords, which are the only way to open the barrier. That's why we never lose sight of them. Oh. That Megatron seems to be someone important. Yes. He really is. Everyone seemed satisfied with their answers and Rimuru spoke some more. Raphael-san, about their names. Who? Guys, you can come in. Rimuru was about to ask something, but was interrupted by Kaori, who came out of the tent. Rimuru thought the question could wait and everyone entered the tent. Saril was sitting on the bed taking something and gave a smile when she saw Raphael. I see I worried you. Saril-san. He hugged her like a younger brother. Everyone was giving warm looks and Saril. Pa, that hurts. She slammed the side of her fist into his head and Raphael put his hands on his head while making a pained expression. You're pathetic now, you know that. You're being pathetic in front of my saviors. So regain your composure. You idiot. She spoke calmly and stood up. She walked over to Kaori and bowed deeply. I thank you so much for healing me. No. No need to worry. Actually, the credit is not all mine. What do you mean by that, Kaori? Hajime asked and the others also cast questioning glances. Kaori's words were strange because no matter how you looked at it, she was the one who saved Saril. Kaori then explained. Yet it was Rimuru-kun who strengthened my poison removal spell, right? Ah. That. Actually it was Seal who did that. He configured Kaori's poison healing spell to locate the poison and heal only at the designated location. Before Kaori had to use the spell on her whole body and that greatly diminished the potency. Kaori said that if it wasn't for the potentiation of the poison, she probably wouldn't be able to save Saril. Then I thank my two saviors. Kaori Dono and Rimuru Dono. If there is anything I can do for you, let me know. Both Kaori and Rimuru were a little uncomfortable at being treated so respectfully, but Saril seemed really serious about calling them that, so they didn't say anything. Raphael, explain to me what happened while I was unconscious? Raphael agreed and recounted the events of so far. When he finished. You big idiot. You warned the gods about our existence. She spoke angrily and Raphael cringed in fear. Seeing an elegant beauty so angry frightened several of those present. I'm sorry. Raphael knelt down and apologized pitifully. Saril still looked grumpy, so Raphael looked at Rimuru and Kaori as if to say, help me. He must have thought that since Saril respects them both, they could help. Kaori and Rimuru asked Saril to take it easy and she spoke. Since it is Rimuru Dono and Kaori Dono who ask, I will forgive you. Now I will let the others know that I am fine. She left the tent still a bit annoyed. After that Raphael took them back to the place they were going to spend the night.